Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be turning a friend into a lover. Well, I've got an email here from a guy who he's typically always been the nice guy, the too nice of a nice guy, to the point where he's always stuck in friend zone. Most of his friends all happen to be women, but he doesn't have any ladies to date. And so he's got one of these women that he's been friends with for 8 years, and they're absolute best of friends. And he says lately he's been starting to develop some feelings for her, and since he's relatively new to my work, he's thinking, hey, I got this person here. Let me see if I can grow some attraction between her and I. So he started to back off a little bit and see what she does when they're together, if she touches him. And so he's noticed that she's actually reaching out, she's touching him more. She's doing most of the calling, texting, and pursuing now. And it's having some positive effect, but what he really wants to do is get himself out of platonic friend zone so he can potentially have some kind of romance. Because so he says all this time he never felt anything for her until just recently. And apparently he's been in this situation before, puked his feelings up, and then the friendship ended after this. These are the kinds of things that I experienced in my early 20s. And if you get burned a few times, if you spend months and even a couple of years hung up on somebody, and then you vomit your feelings and you get rejected, you feel like a complete fucking jackass. Because you're thinking, I wasted like a year or two of my life being hung up on this person who wasn't even into me to begin with. What a fucking waste. When that happens to you, and that happened to me several times early on in my teenage years, my early 20s, like, man, those are the kinds of things that you learn from, because you literally waste years of your life being hung up on a handful of people that weren't even interested in you to begin with. So I have a quote that I wrote in this topic, and then we're going to go through his email. And so the quote says, attraction is handled by nature. It is not a conscious choice. We do not choose whom we feel attracted to. Some we are more attracted to than others, and some are more attracted to us than others. It is also possible to go from low attraction to higher attraction over time if there is a minimum level of initial attraction. Scarcity creates value. Abundance lowers and levels it out. Human beings naturally value what is scarce. When your time is scarce and you have an abundance of options, you get the best choices and negotiating position. Become a person of value who people want to be around, and eventually you will have an abundance of romantic, business, and career choices, as well as friendship choices. So he says, hey Corey, how are you? Very well, I hope. Fucking awesome, of course. I'm contacting you for advice. Let me put you in context. I'm the epitome of the good guy. I watch too many romantic comedies, and due to health issues, I lost my best years to develop the abilities to talk to and treat women. I'm 43 years old. It's never too late to become the person you were meant to be. Even if you spend the next 10, 15 years becoming really awesome, and you spend the next 20 or 30 years of the rest of your life having an awesome life, when you're on your deathbed, you're going to be smiling because you achieved all those things you wanted. Imagine if you go all the way to the end of your life and you never achieve any of your dreams. That's going to be a pretty shitty experience. You want to have some great fucking memories. And you deserve to have great memories. But you got to work diligently, and you got to apply yourself, and you got to apply the kinds of success principles that I talk about in my book and my videos in order to be efficient and get the kind of results that you want. He says, I have a lot of female friends, but that's it. I've read your book 2 times. I'm halfway through the 3rd time, and everything in your book goes against how I thought things work. Well, think about it. You're 43 years old, and you thought the world worked in a certain way, but you basically have admitted that you've really never been successful your whole life with women, or at least with the kind of women that you really wanted. And so from that perspective, you got to admit to yourself, you know what? My strategy really fucking sucks. So therefore, I need to change it. And that's usually what leads people to come to my work, is something's not working in their personal life or their professional life, and they seek out some answers, and they come across, obviously, a book and a YouTube channel and a website like mine. And it starts to fill in the blanks, starts to fill in a strategy or the types of strategies that will actually work and get you better results. And so instead of beating your head against the wall for the next 20 years, you can read the book 10 to 15 times and get out there and apply these things and really dramatically learn to become great and proficient at things that took me decades to become really good at. He says, little by little, I'm starting to change my behavior towards women and building my confidence. Well, it's like the great Aristotle said, excellence is not a singular act, it's a habit. You are what you do repeatedly. If you want to become good at something, if you want to become a person of value, somebody has skills, you have to apply yourself diligently over and over and over again, practicing things that you might not be very good at right now, but that you want to become good at in the future. Because I know I was thinking about this earlier today when I was contemplating when I was going to sit down and film my videos and things I was going to talk about, how I remember what it used to be like in life. I mean, it's really frustrating as a human being to not be able to date as a guy, to be able to date the kind of women that you want, and every time you occasionally do go out with somebody that you really like and you really want, you get 1 or 2 dates. That sucks. And because those kinds of people don't come along every single day of your life that you really connect with, and then you blow it, and then you're literally thinking about that person for the next 6 months or a year or maybe even longer in some cases. So you're not going to be getting, if you're constantly blowing all your good chances with good high quality women, you're not going to be getting much life experience, and you're not going to be getting better, and you're not going to be creating really great memories that you'll take with you for the rest of your life. And so it's nice to be able to have that ability to go from like where I once was to where I am now, that in the times when I'm single, I meet somebody new that's like literally we meet, we interact, and we're just always together after that. And it's like a love story. I mean, it's beautiful how that unfolds. The universe drops somebody right into your life, and just easily and effortlessly a new relationship unfolds. And you don't have to worry about it. It's like you just know it's going to happen, and you know how it's going to go ahead of time. And it's just the peace of mind that gives you is so wonderful. Because I get emails all the time from guys all over the world whose marriages have been saved, or they lost their virginity, or got their first girlfriend, or they settled down and got married, or they send me pictures of their kids. And it's so awesome that just reading a book and applying themselves, reading it 10 to 15 times and applying themselves over the course of a few months, weeks, and even a year or two dramatically changes their life. When it's something that, I was reading an email that I got from some guy who'd been married almost 30 years. Tell me how my book had saved his marriage. I mean, one book, reading it one time, and then completely being able to see everywhere he's been going wrong, and telling me how all things are different, and how his wife loves what he's doing now and the new version of him. And it's so fucking cool to see that. So he says, the thing is, I have a friend, she's 28, and has been single for a while. We've known each other for about 8 years, and we are best friends. We have been there for each other for everything. Basically, we've been each other's therapists, which, well, if you read the book, then you know that that's definitely a fucking no-no. My intentions towards her were never more than friendship until recently. I've always loved her very much, but now I want her, and to tell you the truth, as gay as it sounds, I'm terrified with the possibility of losing her friendship if I do things wrong. Well, the only way you're going to have a potential shot at owning her heart is if you're okay with losing her forever, because that may happen. She may get to the point where things become weird and awkward, or maybe you screw it up, and she never wants to have anything to do with you again. That's possible. That's usually, in my case, those kinds of situations that I had in my teenage years and my early 20s, I was just being a friend because that's what I thought I needed to do in order to get them to later date me down the road. But when you take that approach, the friendship is a fraud, and so obviously they don't like it very much when they realize that your interest wasn't platonic at all from the beginning. It was strictly romantic, and you were trying to fly under the radar. Now, in this particular case, this guy's known this girl for 8 years, and so he says that it's just recently he's developed some feelings for this girl. So he said, I had already experienced that with another good friend in the past by confessing my feelings, and everything became awkward after that. Well, the key is always to smile and to use humor and to not let this situation diminish you. If you're communicating your interest to a woman, say you're just sitting there having a glass of wine one night and you're talking and about, oh, we've been great friends for 8 years and you're just enjoying each other. And say she's sitting next to you on the couch and her hands touching your knee, or her knees bumping yours, and she's just a little too close, a little too touchy-feely. And those kinds of moments, it's been 8 years, and you can joke around fine with them. You say, you know what, you got your hands all over me. You might as well just go ahead and kiss me. I mean, we've been great friends all this time, and it's like, why not? I always wonder, are you a great kisser? Are you a good kisser? Well, of course I'm a good kisser. Really? Prove it to me then. I mean, it's all you got is something simple like that. It doesn't have to become weird or awkward. Even if she busts your balls and says don't go there, she says, hey, you know what? There's nothing wrong with us using each other for sex every now and then. I mean, take light of the situation. Be fun. Be playful with it. Don't be having you got a fucking stick up your ass. Because what happens is you expect to vomit your feelings all over this person, like in the past when it blew up on you with previous friends, and it doesn't go the way you want, and so you vomit your feelings because you have this attachment to a result that you expect, which is that you're going to live happily ever after and have a great relationship. Whereas if it's the kind of thing you're just throwing it out there playfully, if she's touching you, because like I said, in these kinds of situations, following the things that I teach in my book, when a woman finds you attractive, she's going to touch you more, she's going to bump into you, she's going to be around you. She's going to be leaning forward. I mean, all those body language and those signs and those tells that I talk about, playing with her hair. If you've got a girl that you've been friends with all the time for many years and she starts playing with her hair when you're hanging out one time and twirling around her hands, I mean, that's a pretty obvious fucking sign. And you could easily just say, you know what, God, you look so beautiful tonight. I've always wanted to kiss you and you look so radiant and beautiful. And now that we're both single, let's go for it. Why don't you bring those beautiful lips over here and kiss me? And you just take your hand, put it right underneath her chin, and confidently just move it right over to you, like it's not a big deal. If she's playing with her hair, and she's close, and you're looking at each other's lips while you're talking, she's thinking the same fucking thing. You're not going to get rejected in that situation. There's no reason for it to be weird or awkward. Because the key is to take it or leave it kind of attitude. It's like you're expressing your interest. That's your gift. That's your compliment to her. It's your invitation. And if she doesn't accept it, so what? Big fucking deal. If she says, we need to talk about what happened the other night, it's like, what do you mean? What do you want to talk about? Well, I don't want you to think that anything's, what, you mean like a relationship? It's like, hey, we've been friends for a long time, and I think it's cool that now we have a sexual relationship as well. Doesn't mean we're going to be together forever and be soulmates. I don't fucking know, but it was pretty spectacular. And it was nice waking up with you naked in my arms, so let's see where it goes. Let's not complicate things. We've always been able to communicate well, but see what happens. If you have think about it. James Bond is always calm, cool, collected. Even when it seems like the world's about to end and he's out of options and he's certainly not going to survive, he's always calm. He's always thinking, what's my next move? What's the most efficient thing that I can do right now to get myself out of the situation I'm in and diffuse this and achieve my objective? That's if you think from that place, if you think from the end, and you're not worried about what may or may not happen, and you're using humor and you're playful, and you look for the signs that are there, you don't have to risk rejection. It doesn't ever have to become weird and awkward. But if you're sitting with your friend, she's not touching you, she's nowhere near you, she never plays with her hair, she never gives you any indication, never compliments you on your looks or the shirt you're wearing or how the colors look good that you're wearing or whatever happens to be in your clothes, then you don't have to risk putting yourself out there and getting rejected because it's not there. Women make it obvious when they like you. I discuss this in the book. That's why you should read it 10 to 15 times so we can fill in that knowledge gap and make a move when the signs are there. I mean, it makes it pretty fucking easy. He says, I had already read your book for the first time when I realized my feelings for my best friend, so I haven't done that mistake this time. For about 1 month, I have applied your teachings little by little, reducing how much I contact her And it has been my friend who has done almost 80 to 90% of it and 60 to 70% of the talking. Well, that's good. Because when you see those things, you can see that she's making a natural effort. And again, because feminine energy is about bonding, connecting, opening up to receive love, women solve things by talking about them. And that's why women naturally do more of the talking. On an average day, women say, I think it's like 8,000 words, and men tend to say around 2,000 words. So women are just natural talkers. And by being a good listener and asking questions and leading the conversation, you can facilitate that. And when you listen to somebody and you're really sincerely interested in who they are as a human being and in what they have to say, that creates the rapport. That causes them to feel comfortable and causes them to like you. And it also creates attraction. He says, however, it has still been as a friend and most of it by texting until last week as she used to write me daily, sometimes 2 or even 3 times. We've been seeing each other as much as our schedule allows it on weekends to watch movies. I know that's what friends do. Well, invite her over to make dinner together and tell her to bring a bottle of wine or something like that. And then you can watch a movie, a nice romantic movie, and do some fun things, make some dinner together, interact with one another. Instead of just her coming over, you turn on the movie and then you both just kind of space out and stare at the TV screen. The idea is you want to have some interaction. And when you're interacting with the woman, if there's attraction there, she'll be playing with their hair, and women won't even realize that they're doing it. And it gives you the upper hand when you come from that place. It's just so amazing. It doesn't need to be hard. You don't have to worry about getting rejected. When the signs are there, you go for it. You're not going to get rejected when the signs are there. He says, however, it has still been as a friend, and we've been seeing each other as much as our schedules allow. And he says, little by little, I've been escalating things with more touching and flirting jokingly, but I haven't noticed anything that could be interpreted as an invitation for more from her. Well, again, I would be letting her touch you. You can just kind of keep in your hands to yourself. Because if you're touching her, but she never seems to initiate touching you, then don't touch her at all. And see if she starts touching you. And if she starts touching you, that's when you escalate things. A lot of guys, when they go out on dates, they touch too much. They touch before a woman is ready to be touched, or they touch her in ways that are weird and awkward and turn her off. And so the idea, it's always better that if a woman is chasing and pursuing you, because when a woman's doing most of the pursuing, you never have to worry about getting rejected. And from a guy's perspective, if you're not having to worry about getting rejected, think about what that does to your confidence. If you feel pretty fucking confident about somebody you're dating, you're in a peaceful and a relaxed state. And therefore, your actions and your words are going to be more congruent with keeping you in a peaceful and relaxed state. And so therefore, if you're being chased, you don't have to worry about losing that person because they're trying to get you. Think about what that does for your confidence. It allows you as a man to focus on your mission and your purpose in life and do what's most important that's going to help you achieve your grandest goals and dreams. It's one of those little things, the little differences that make the difference. He says, since last Friday, she has backed away and she acted kind of distant last Saturday. Probably because you're touching a little too much. Again, the idea is to if you watch the video that I did, why women prefer to chase men, that will make a lot more sense to you. And also the video an article that I did, men are like dogs, women are like cats. So if you Google both those and watch the video and read the articles, it'll make a little bit more sense. So you can better balance when you're with her to make sure she's doing most of the touching and the initiating. And when she's touching you, then you can take it a little further and escalate to kissing. Kissing leads to heavy petting, leads to hands wandering, clothes coming off. And the next thing you know, you're strapping on the condominium, strapping on your love glove, and bumping uglies. He says, I'm in the friend zone, and that's a fact because I wasn't interested in something else before. To this point, there hasn't been any invitation for something more from her to go for a kiss, and I don't want to force it. Well, from what you described here, it looks like you're touching too much, you had your hands on her too much, instead of letting her do that and reciprocate. And it's also like what I talk about when you're sitting there, if you're next to each other and your faces are only, say they're within like 2 feet of one another. Maybe you're sitting on the couch or you're next to each other as you're chopping up some vegetables or meat or whatever in the kitchen, and you're talking and having conversation, and she's standing close. As she's talking, just glance down at her lips, and then up into her eyes again, and then slowly down at her lips, and then back up into her eyes over the course of like 5 to 7 seconds. And if she looks at your lips any time when you're next to one another like that, it means she's thinking the same thing. And then that's the time when you go for the kiss. When a woman looks at your lips and you go for the kiss, you're not going to get rejected. Makes it pretty fucking easy. And then that way you don't have to worry about risking your friendship, because you're seeing the cues that are there physically, and then you're making a move. He says, I'm initiating the touching, not her. Bad way to go, dude. Stop it. And nothing too bold to make her feel uncomfortable. But you got to look at her overall behavior. What's she doing? She's backing away. She's not touching you first. Well, you're not giving her the opportunity to touch you first. If she's not touching you first, then it's not her idea. And the chances of you getting rejected are very high. My question is, can that strategy work? Well, it hasn't worked for you for 43 years, my friend. So you've cut out some of your bad behavior, but there's still plenty of it that you have to do. And by reading the book 10 to 15 times and listening to like what I've been talking about in the video, pointing these things out, it's a subtle, but it's a massive fucking difference. Just hanging back for a few minutes and just noticing where she is in relation to you, like when you're making dinner in the kitchen. Does she bump into you? Like, especially like when you keep your hands to yourself. At first, she'll completely keep her distance, won't be near you. But then later on, after you're together for 15, 20 minutes, then she starts bumping into you. Notice the difference. Like when you're on a date and you're walking down the street and you don't take a woman's hand. You just walk side by side with her. And then when she starts bumping into you, shoulder to shoulder, or her hand is swinging while her hand is swinging while you walk next to each other, bumps your hand or bumps into you, then you can just gently take her hand and she'll clasp her fingers in between yours and interlock them, and then you're holding hands. If she lets go while you're walking side by side, then you let her hand go. Remember, women are like cats. And you just keep walking. And then a few minutes later, she may even walk away a little bit to where she's no longer touching you, and then she'll come back a little bit. I remember when I first started realizing, recognizing that, it's like, it's so subtle and most people don't even know it and don't even pay attention to the little shit like that, but it makes a massive fucking difference. It makes a massive difference between a man who always gets pussy when he wants and never gets rejected when he wants sexy time, and a guy who's constantly frustrated and trying to force things and never getting anywhere. It's nice not ever having to be rejected when you want to seduce your girl. And if you follow the things I teach in my book, you will not be getting rejected. It just won't happen because the signs will be there, and you know how to facilitate getting them in the mood and causing those signs to start revealing themselves. That's how it's like. If you notice the quote of all my videos, I've got a quote from Lao Tzu: mastering others is strength, mastering yourself makes you fearless. That's what these things do. It makes you fucking absolutely fearless. There's no better confidence booster for a guy than to be walking through a busy place or walking down the street with what you feel is the most beautiful, sexiest, desirable, most interesting, fun woman on the planet with you, and she's hanging on your arm and you're proud of her and you're crazy about her and she's crazy about you, and everybody stares at her. And then they stare at her and they look at you and they look back at her and they look at you and they're like, how the fuck did that dude get her? Like, she's way out of his league. And that feels fucking awesome. And that girl's happy to be there with you. When you experience that for the first time, you will have a complete fucking paradigm shift in your life. Life will never fucking be the same again after a moment like that. I fucking promise you. If you apply what my book teaches, you will get to experience that. I detail it out, how I started experiencing that. And it's like, it's amazing. He says, can I escalate things little by little until they reach the unavoidable talk? the talk shouldn't happen. There's no talk. You don't talk a woman into having a relationship with you or dating you or sleeping with you or kissing you. You create the environment, and when the signs are there, then you make the opportunity. Create the environment that triggers the attraction in the ways I talk about in my book, and when the signs are there, you don't have to worry about all this stuff. Your job as a man, like I talk about in the book, is to create an opportunity for sex to happen. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. That's simple. He says, so as to jeopardize as little of the friendship as possible. Again, if you're following what my book teaches, you don't have to risk anything. It's zero risk. Because you're only taking action based upon signs when they're there. Because right now, you know a few things in the book, and you're looking, but it's just not there because you're forcing things. You're touching too much. And therefore, you're never getting her the opportunity to do that. And she could tell your behavior is changing, and you're being a little bit more too touchy-feely. That's why she's starting to back away. It's kind of creeping her out a little bit. He says, if you could please let me know how I should proceed, then I would very much be appreciated. Well, again, I would be backing off, letting her touch first, but creating the conditions where you can interact with one another so she can, as she feels safe and comfortable, she'll start to touch you. Remember, it's like creating that scarcity. If you're touching her all the time, you're acting like the horny virgin teenager that never gets laid and is not used to touching women. And if she's known you for 8 years, she probably knows that haven't been very successful with other women, and you're constantly getting friend zoned because you're each other's therapist. So she probably knows all your quirks, your idiosyncrasies, and you've probably told her all the bad things or the bad qualities about yourself over the years. And so, therefore, she probably knows she can have you at this point. But when you keep your hands to yourself, and you're fun, and you're playful, and you let her touch first, and then you escalate from there when the signs are there, you don't have to worry about getting rejected. It's a night and day difference, dude. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.